I bring this up because there's a Shedeur Sanders story we're gonna get to. We talked about Abdul Carter asking for LT's number, and it all sort of ties together because there's a different mindset among younger people. And the question is, do you adjust to them, or do you just continue to mock it and be like, no, our way? And I just feel like there's got to be some type of compromise. And I found a great article, and it's all based on how do we try to accommodate and blend in with the younger generation, Gen Z. An article written by a 20-something said how to, quote, slay summer and hire the right Gen Z kids. Because, like I said, there was one article about kids don't want to hear about money afterwards. Kids now are like, yo, how much you paying me? Don't beat around the bush. Don't say, well, you're going to do this and that. How much are you paying me?
You know what? As a guy who's done pretty decent in his career, there's a lot of jobs that I've taken because it's a great opportunity, and then you worry about the money.
Yeah, but they don't
think
that
the
way.
mindset's off. Yeah, well, let me tell you, as an older person who's not that old, just a generation above you, I got an opportunity coming up. You know what's more important to me? The opportunity.
They don't think that way, though.
Okay, well then, you know what? Maybe they should.
How much are you going to pay me now? Look at how many kids are on OnlyFans. We did the math the other day.
I want the opportunity, so then you could pay me more later on.
Daunting. And again, I don't want to scare everyone with a daughter out there, but 18 to 25-year-old women, when you do the math, this is a true fact. 18 to 25-year-old women, 1 out of 10 has an OnlyFans page. They want money now. They want money. They don't care about like, oh, this is good for your future. It's a different generation.
For what, though? We're paying their cell phone bill, their insurance.
Danny,
all their Sheen packages.
You got teenagers. I know you're thinking like, what are they doing? Let me give you a couple of highlights from this article, and then this Shadour Sanders perfect example. Number one, if you're trying to hire Gen Z, these are funny things to me. When you're emailing them, don't give a thumbs up emoji. They think it's passive aggressive, and it hurts their feelings. Emojis are cringy. Don't do that. You'll upset them. And exclamation points could trigger them.
Emojis being cringy is the only one I'm okay, fine. Okay. That's a little immature, right? If you're an older person. Otherwise, so far, I hate all these.
Yeah, why are you going to read into an emoji?
Dude, I was told once, if you text or email back a younger coworker, like, thumbs up, they don't take it as like, all right, good. They take it as, how passive-aggressive.
No, that's just ridiculous because not everything is a heart. You don't heart every message. Some is just,
take it as
got it.
Hey, Fonzie.
Yeah,
yeah. Thumbs up.
No, they take it as like, oh, my God. Why is it? What? It's passive-aggressive.
Okay.
Number two. Don't think I'm going to work for your company if it's at least not partly remote. I'm not coming to some place 5 days a week.
Okay.
That's a Gen Z saying.
COVID really made everybody lazy, though, not just Gen Z.
But they're saying remote. They don't want to be fully remote because they want to have, I guess, some interaction to maybe move up the ladder. But Gen Z.
I don't blame them for feeling that way, but to call it out as a demand.
Yeah, you can't
dictate the terms. You're a nobody from Nowhereville. Beat it. Like, for you to even suggest that this sounds okay, some 27-year-old
not even 22
wrote it.
22.
Yeah, but you said, how old was the person that wrote it?
It's a 20-something-year-old, like early 20s.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm talking about. So for you to give this any validity is a joke to me. Like, what do they know about anything?
Here's what I think is interesting about this is if it's getting to this point of the interview, these are your most qualified candidates.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're just walking in blind with 100 other candidates. And I think why they feel that they have some power is if they got this far in the interview, they must be better than everybody else.
Precisely. Dan Byer's right on. They say, as the article says, as we focus on seasonal hiring for the summer, your best employees, if you're trying to hire 20-something-year-olds for your business or interns or part-time workers, they are going to demand these things. So be prepared. They don't want to work someplace every day. Part of it has to be remote. Number three, work-life boundaries. When I'm not at the office or not on the clock, I am not going to respond to your emails or messages because I'm not working. Danny G, imagine if like at night you and I didn't text each other about the show because we were, quote, off the clock.
No, our show wouldn't work.
We rely on, a lot of industries rely on, like, yo, did you get that email? It was sent at 7:48 p.m. I was off.
Well, who did I hire, as my dad would say, The Queen of Sheba? Who do you think
Yeah.
you are?
Yeah.
I don't get it, dude. Like, I get it. Like, that's
there's
what
last
email's
minute
for.
changes too. Like our boss in the sales department, sometimes there'll be some last minute changes or additions, and we have to be open to communicating no matter what time
Yeah,
it is.
it's a job, man. It's not super fun time.
Work-life balance is big to them, meaning if they have an important event, there is no negotiation. Like if they have a friend's wedding or bachelor party or something, like, yeah, it can't work. No, like, it's not up for debate. Like, hey, boss, I'm not working that day. Mixed in with, if I'm not feeling it, the company has to be okay with mental health days. Different generation, man. You
Yeah,
got
but
to
don't
like
they sound more like demands than requests?
Yeah.
Mental health day doesn't bother me that much. I mean, again, it sounds soft, but I think everybody needs a day for whatever reason, right?
okay.
A personal day, whatever it is.
and I'll give you one
Sometimes,
more.
hey, nothing wrong with a break or a refresher. So it's just how it sounds to me. But so far, only 2 of these are tolerable.
By the way, it's not to sound like we're grumpy middle-aged men. It's a very different generation, and it will tie directly to this story Danny G has on standby about Shadour Sanders. One last one. And this is interesting because every industry is different. Companies, this is from a Gen Zer, companies need to be clear right away about their social media policies because I'm going to check my phone throughout the day. What's your policy on it? I think it's a fair question.
It's a fair question, yeah.
But like, what if a company says like, yeah, I don't want you checking social media throughout the day? Is that a deal breaker?
Well, I mean, how bad do you want to work here? How bad do you want this job? You know, go start an OnlyFans then if you're so interested in doing other things.
1 out of 10 do. All right. Well, with that all said, Danny G, this Shadour Sanders story maybe sheds a little light on why he was passed up in the draft. Not because of race, not because of talent, not because of perhaps an attitude that teams were not really vibing with.
Yeah, this was reported by Sportskeeda via Fox Sports yesterday. A team with a top 7 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft requested that Shadour Sanders study its playbook for their interview session. Shadour arrived unprepared and used his time to instead question the team's leadership, asking their strategy to support him.
And
You
it
know,
ties perfectly into this article because
There's been a lot of smoke around this story, so where there's smoke, there's fire for sure, right? Like, we heard that from several sources. So imagine that. Some dude comes in and he starts calling the shots on you, and that's why Rich is saying, well, who's supposed to accommodate who in this situation?
I'm just saying we shouldn't be shocked. And I'm not coming down on Shadour Sanders. What I'm saying is we shouldn't be shocked based on the article I just talked about, based on the mindset of a 20-something-year-old now. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying Shadour Sanders is in line with the mindset of most young people. The end. Instead of saying,
Yeah, but that doesn't make it right.
Instead of saying, I prepared the playbook, he came in there thinking, all right, well, what are you going to do for me as your next star? Yeah, kid, but we have an organization here. Yeah, but how are you going to support me? And that's the mindset of so many younger people.
And that's a horrible mindset for a team sport. It's not about me. It's not. It's about the team. And he's already separating himself when the season hasn't even started, when you're not even on the team yet.
Yeah.
So that's a really bad look, dude. Like, there is an etiquette. And I don't care what the new generation thinks. It doesn't make it right.
Yeah, there's a whole lot to be said. And, you know, to end this conversation on a note.
When you and I started here, did we start calling shots
No.
or did we prove ourselves a little first and then maybe try to make a few changes here and there where we thought they could benefit us and the team?
Yeah, agreed.
Right? Because there's an etiquette involved.
Yeah, it was like 3 weekends you worked before you started threatening the bosses.
Yeah,
We
Covino
worked
said he
three weekends before we requested an aquarium in the studio.
Covino wants a fish tank so bad. But I will say there is something to be said to not be one-sided. How many generations work, and realize their work-life balance stinks? Like how many people in our grandparents' and parents' generation realized I spent 50 years working for this company?
Yeah, and there's validity
what?
to that point.
There is.
And I think that we, you know, as the generation above them, we're learning from them too, but they also need to learn from us.
Well,
So we're the parents in this. I have a 22-year-old stepson, and he's been interviewing for summer jobs right now. and Brenda and I have been giving him pointers and talking him through it and talking about it. And he's not making any of these demands in his interviews.
And he'll stand out for not doing it.
I think so. I don't know, man. This whole thing upsets me. It really does.
It shouldn't
Because-
upset you.
Well, yeah,
know,
for
because I
people
feel
with
like you're
good,
angling
strong
it.
work ethic, how could this not annoy you?
Yeah, and this applies in everyone's life and in sports. And the question comes down to this in the article. If you're a veteran athlete, are you supposed to bend backwards to make sure this guy's okay? Or should this guy accommodate to an established team? And I think it works that way. Yet it is a bit of a compromise. Yeah, right? We all want to be respectful. But for everybody to have to bend over backwards to accommodate a generation with all these demands, that's odd.
I think there's a phenomenal balance that I'd like to think if you're roughly 40. I like to call our generation the in-betweeners. We really are, because we lived a life before social media, but we know social media. We
were fluent in old guy and younger guy.
And I think if you're roughly 40, I would say like if you were born in the late 70s to late 80s, if you are 40-ish or so, again, you're the type of person that grew up without social media, without these things, but you also understand it. And I think you don't want to make the mistakes of past generations where it's like, I'm going to work 18 hours a day and never see my kids like your parents or grandparents may have done. But you also don't expect to start out at the company as a VP like a 20-something-year-old.
Here's the thing, though, when you talk about work-life balance, and Danny G mentioned, yeah, we're all realizing that there has to be a better way. But guess what? You still have bills to pay. So unless you want to drown in debt, go right ahead.
So
you still have to work and make ends meet.
Hey, your thoughts on this hard-hitting COVINO Rich conversation
so you
here.
can see how Shadour Sanders, not necessarily him, but that generation will rub other people the wrong way all the time.
Well,
and again, remember that old saying, hey, welcome to the real world. We all had to make adjustments. I was a spoiled kid. You know what I realized? I had to work a little harder when I got into the real world. You got to make adjustments. Just because things went a certain way for you growing up and everybody coddled you at home doesn't mean the real world works that way. So your boss has to accommodate you and not use exclamation points because you're upset by them. Get out of here with that.
2 points, and then we'll move on. We'll play a little Belichick or COVINO. We'll talk a little NBA this weekend. But 2 points. I saw a video.
Why don't you go for 3 like Jalen Brunson?
You know what? I'm going to... That left-handed, nice little three-pointer. I saw a video within the last year, and I felt bad for this girl, but at the same time, I laughed. You saw the same one I'm thinking about. It was a girl on the East Coast, lived in New York, and she had started her first job in New York City. And she went on a rant where she was almost in tears, saying how
8 hours a day was too much.
I have to take the train to Manhattan, and then I work 8+ hours, then I take the train back. When am I supposed to go to the gym? When am I supposed to go out for drinks with my friends? When am I supposed? And it's like,
yeah,
wow, like that's
like, we can't put it all on the generation too. We can put it on the parents. That might be us for not preparing them properly for these type of things. So, but the reality is what it is.
But don't
you have
be,
to adjust. You have to, I don't know, get a little tougher.
But also, don't be shocked, COVINO, if because of NIL and the way things are now a little differently, don't be shocked if players want to really call their shots more and more. I think we're going to get to a point where college players are going to be like, nah, here's a list of teams and cities I want to play for, and that's how I'll enter the draft process. Like,
let me ask you this, though, Rich. Back to the other
like even more so, not just your top picks. Like there'll be,
if Shadour Sanders really wanted to play for that top 7 team in the NFL draft, shouldn't he have learned the playbook a little bit?
Yeah.
So what is it? Doesn't that show the employer or the team that he's really not that interested?
I guess this is I'm struggling this because it feels like the idea of I'm not going to play for a certain team is pretty old for the NFL. We had it with John Elway. We had it with
Eli
Rivers and Eli
between,
Manning.
though,
Yeah, like this is not a new tale.
It's not a new thing, but you can name we can name them on one hand.
I just don't think we're going to get an entire generation. Shadour Sanders just feels like that, and I'm not comparing him to the skill of Elway or Eli or any of that, but like, there's always a couple guys who think they can dictate terms, and
some have in the past.
Dropping to the 5th is pretty much a sign to everyone that like you can't dictate terms.
Perhaps, Perfed, there's where we end. We say Shedeur is Exhibit A of what happens now if you try to dictate too much
without shoot your shot, but it might go bad
without the A+ talent. You can't do this.